And welcome back, everyone, to the next episode of A Conversation with Kely. We are back to talk about, once again, the latest episode of Survivor 41. We finally only have a few shows to talk about, Allie. We're not incredibly booked with like 50
I
shows,
know.
which is like such a relief. Kind of weird. I'm used to us doing like 4 of these at once, but it's good
really,
that we only have...
really, we just have this and Ascendance Live, and then me and Mike have like Dancing with the Stars and Masked Singer.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I already introduced my lovely co-host, but how are you doing today?
I'm good. It's Thanksgiving here.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. And also I have a few days off from work, which is nice.
That is very nice. We do love that a lot. But before we do start things off, we do have a guest with us, someone that we just could not, talk about Survivor without bringing her on at least once. It's the one, the only, the Julia Rowe.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be here, as always.
Hold the applause. Yes, but before we do get into this, Julia, just talk a little bit about not just your history with Survivor, but what you're thinking of this season overall. Go right ahead.
Yeah, so Survivor's always been my show. It's one of those things that I can remember from very, very young. Always been a part of my life. I wrote my college application essay that I sent to all of my universities. I sent to several Ivy League schools on Survivor.
I love that. That's so good.
I love that.
I love it. This season is not what I was expecting in a lot of ways, but I think that's good as the game evolves. I've liked it so far. I've liked a lot of the changes they've made. I have some qualms with some of the things that have happened, but I'm really excited to see how this dynamic cast of characters maneuvers this new kind of formatting.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very different season for sure. And I will say right now, this episode was not my favorite. Very much not my favorite. I think there was a lot of just repetitiveness. I feel like this episode as well, there's not a lot of content to talk about because it's a lot of just the same shit happening, but I guess we'll just dive right into it. So we're going to start off, we're going to do the same thing we did last time where we talk about each individual tribe. I liked the way we structured that last time, Allie, so I think we're going to do that moving forward. We're going to start off here with the Yasa Tribe, where we see Liana talks about how good the Xander vote would have been, especially since they wouldn't have too many opportunities to make a big move like that. And she hopes to play. And because she comes from such a hardworking environment, it completely slipped through her fingers. But her dad told her that her change is constant. So she plans to never give up and do what she can to flip the narrative. And I like what they're doing here, where we're seeing these like little moments like within their lives. It gets us to know who these people are. And I really like that a lot. I think it feels very real and raw. It's not like Big Brother, where a lot of the times it feels very like manufactured and fake. It feels very real in that way. And that's something I really liked about these little like sort of meet-me's they're doing, where they talk about things going on in their personal lives. So I really like that a lot. But then we get to what pretty much takes up the bulk of this episode, which is people getting up in the middle of the day and just fucking idol hunting. That's the majority of this episode. And look, idol hunting is an essential part of Survivor. We've all played Survivor orgs. We know how important idol hunting is. But I don't think we're going to spend an entire, 40 minutes, just idol hunting constantly. I don't think that's all we want to do. I don't think I want to see an entire episode of people doing that. It's not exactly the most interesting thing to watch.
I won't say it's a bad episode. It was a lot of idol hunts, which is like...
Yeah.
I agree that this was my least favorite of the episode so far. And I think it's because I can see the episodes starting to fall into a very similar cookie cutter type pattern of, like someone finds the beware advantage, they go to the place, a million fucking advantages are put in the game. We go back, no character moments with anyone else. Challenge, you're with the tribe who loses tribal. And I feel like, yes, although a lot of advantages are obviously such a crucial part of the game of Survivor, but I think with all with all of these summits and these going off to extra islands and stuff like that, we're losing a lot of those really important character moments and storylines that make Survivor such an enjoyable experience for the viewer.
Yeah, that's definitely my thing with it too. It's like you watch them idle hunt and it's like, okay, great, but like I want to see what they're doing like strategic wise, and we don't really get to see that. We get this moment with Tiffany where she goes idle hunting. She does find the beware advantage, and she then finds it right in front of Liana and Evvie and just lets them in on what it is. So really exciting stuff here. Her allies know she has an idol. Wonderful suspense. Who knows what she's gonna do with it? No, but basically this one's a bit different. This boat is gonna arrive. It's basically the hiking thing we've been seeing all season. Julia, what do you think of this twist? This hiking twist that they're doing where they get to like decide what they're gonna do with the what do you think of that?
So I like the idea of putting in a wrinkle to having the advantage, to where there's still a strategy aspect to it rather than just finding something in the woods. I like there being a strategy aspect, but doing it every episode and taking so much. We already, even in past seasons, had so few character moments, and now when we're spending all of these times at these hiking summits, at these boat trips to other islands, we're losing all of that. And I can just see the game becoming very oversaturated with advantages, which is what a lot of Survivor fans have complained about, with especially these past 5-10 seasons already.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the biggest issue here. It's like, I was fine with them doing it the first episode. Even the second one, I didn't mind it. But like every single week, it's like, what more can you do with this? Like, I feel like the same thing's happening every week. But Tiffany talks about how she feels it was her destiny to find this. And I mean, she definitely like needed this, I think, for sure. Like, she was in a position where, you know, she didn't feel very safe in the game, but at the same time, she has Evvie and Liana in her back pocket, and Liana's like very annoyed that she didn't find it right when it was in the fire, which is cool, I guess. That's all we get of Yasa for now. Ali, let's talk about...
I'm just gonna say I'm really here for this group, for that Girls Alliance, and I love that the girls are dominating.
Period. Same here.
Yeah.
All right, the next tribe is the Ural Tribe. There's quite a bit to talk about here. Brad is quite annoyed. The rest of his tribe is basically joking around without him. He goes ahead and tries to start a fire with his flint, and he talks about how much experience he has working for himself with being on a ranch before.
Country boy in a ranch. That's the vibe I got from Brad.
I will say I don't actually dislike him though. Like, there's only one person. The only person I really don't like is Sydney.
Yes, I will agree. Brad is definitely not as bad as I thought he'd be, but I still get that, like, I'm a country boy. I'm from the South. I was raised on my own. I've done all this work. Like that's the vibe I get from Brad, and it's just amusing to sometimes forget that he's real. So, like, you know, you have that character sometimes, and I think he's fun to watch. I will agree. He is fun to watch.
Yeah. He also then finds the beware advantage and will have to go onto the boat tonight, or he will lose his vote.
Which, this is the part I really don't like. I don't like that they had to use this or they're going to lose their vote entirely, because basically at that point, they're just like a number. Like, they're not even in the game really. And that's kind of what like Xander's going through, and the fact that Brad's going through it and all these other people are going through it. It's like, there's no choice. Like, you have to play it. Like, how do you feel about that whole aspect?
Oh.
I don't like the idea of everyone constantly losing their vote, because the vote is the most important part of Survivor. Like, your vote, your vote is the most important thing to you in the game, and it becomes kind of like, oh, we're like, yes, it has beware. So the castaways, the players are having to make that decision knowing something could happen. But at that point, it's like, okay, we're just using your vote as a way to have sorry, got a message.
You're all good.
Have something interesting for the people on TV to watch.
Yeah.
You know, it's I don't like the idea of votes constantly taken away. It's not part of Survivor. And I know we are in this new drop the 4, keep the 1 sort of thing, but it doesn't seem natural, and it doesn't sit with me right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't really like the way it's done either, but yeah, Allie, you can continue reading.
I'm not really a big fan of that either, because like vote is the most important part, pretty much.
Yeah. It's like, if you can't vote, what's the point?
Exactly.
Exactly.
You just become decoration. You become a sitting duck.
Yeah.
If you can't,
you get to make flints. There you go.
If you can't leverage your vote, if you can't like use your vote to get out of a situation, leverage it to keep you safe, there's no point in playing Survivor. And yes, I know it's the era of like risks and harder than it's ever been before, but it's stripping away like the core of what Survivor is and what it always has been back in the days when your vote was all that you had. There were no advantages, there were no idols, all you had was that vote. And it seemed like trying to be, with the creators and Jeff trying to be so innovative, they're kind of really stepping away from the core of what Survivor has been and always will be.
Yeah, definitely too much focus on being flashy.
Very passionate about this.
Yeah, no, you're not alone. I've seen a lot of people complain about it.
In addition, we also find out he has the secret phrase. He knows Xander for sure has won, but Luvu hasn't done so yet. He is just frustrated he can't vote at any tribal council until the others are activated. Any thoughts on this?
Oh, I mean, again, it's just the whole secret phrase thing. I said it last week. I think it's kind of ridiculous. It's fun to watch, but like, I just really hope this doesn't last long, because it's like,
I agree. It seems very gimmicky. I've seen in org idol hunts that like, oh, say this random phrase in your tribe chat to get ahead and like get another space in your idol hunt. It feels very, very gimmicky.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of it.
No, I'm really not either. It's like, it's a fun thing if you're doing it for like 2 or 3 weeks, but like if this goes on for like a while, I feel like I'm really gonna get sick of it, especially with the way it's already played out.
Mm-hmm.
He feels this will add a whole new level to the game, and he loves all of the high risk factor. JD takes the time to idle search. JD takes the time to idle search and is frustrated by how tough it is to find, but he knows he has his extra vote. He feels Ricard could very much have this idol because of how sneaky he's been and has the best knowledge of the game besides him. He also feels Shan is very smart and could very well have it. He feels Genie has been searching for it constantly, and Brad has been confiding in himself to the shelter, so it could be there.
So essentially, he feels any of them could have the idol. Like, I don't know why he didn't just say that. Like,
he just wanted to monologue. Let him be.
Yeah, JD is such like an entertaining character to watch.
I loved him.
Yeah, I don't think he's playing the best game, but he's just so much fun to watch. And like, I just never know what he's gonna do.
The final 4 needs to be Shan, Liana, Evvie, and JD.
I'm here for that. That's a good 4.
He's gonna be the first runner-up.
Yeah,
I can see that.
There's too much foreshadow. I'll wait. I'll wait for this. I'll wait until we get into the tribal portion for me to go. Okay, I'll wait.
Yeah. Okay, so you read everything. Okay, it's still you.
Genie feels it's best for her that Brad found the idol since he is her closest ally.
And Genie's kind of getting an invisible edit right now. Like, I feel like out of everyone on the Ural Tribe, we're just not seeing much of her. So, like,
yeah,
I don't know what that means for her in this game.
Yeah, she's kind of just there.
Yeah,
but I do like her.
Me too. I just like, I always forget she's there. I'm like, oh yeah, Genie. It's like Brad Heather on the other tribe.
Oh yeah. Heather's also very invisible.
She's like the most invisible. I don't think she's had a confessional like all season.
Yeah, she had like one, or just in one like half a second.
Yeah, I think so. We talked about like being a mom or something.
Yeah, something like that.
And that's the hardest part with these 3 tribe formats And that's especially why I don't enjoy spending a lot of the time on these hiking summits, these boat summits, especially in a 3-tribe format. When you're already stretched so thin with airtime used for camp life, that you're now stretching it even thinner because you have to spend all this time on watching people look for an advantage and then go on a boat ride. And it's frustrating to lose that time with these characters that you want to develop those bonds with, because that's why we watch the show. Of course, we like love the strategy and we love like crazy vote outs and epic tribals, but at the core of it, you watch Survivor to see these people play the game. And if you don't have an emotional investment with the players, it's harder to enjoy the game that you're watching.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I do think that I said this to Allie, like, I think what works so well about the first episode is that it was 2 hours. And so even though we had all this shit going on, it's like they were able to balance everything. If every episode was 2 hours, like, I don't think we'd be complaining right now, but that's not the case. So because of that, we're spending all this time with like the hiking and shit. There just isn't time to get all the stuff we want to see.
I remember saying that the first episode. I was very happy with the first episode, and I said, wow, I love all of these character moments that we got, because we got with a lot of these people and really learned about what makes them tick, why they love this game so much. And I said that, like, I hope this continues. And it hasn't, because the same amount of time is being used up on these summits and such, but we have an hour less of television.
Yeah, exactly.
Brad talks to Shan about him finding the advantage, and she seems very overwhelmed and also is reluctant on whether or not she wants to keep him in the game.
And once again, I mean, Shan just proves why I really do think she's probably like the front runner to win this game right now. She's in such a strong position with the way that pretty much everyone trusts her at this point, and maybe that could potentially fuck her over. But the way she handles things this week, another brilliant play by her. I was very impressed by Shan's game. Julia, what are you thinking of Shan so far?
I am extremely high on Shan.
Yes.
I think a lot of people think, obviously, Ricard's like out there too, like someone who can really do well. I think I'm really high on Shan because she just comes off so much more genuine. She just comes off of like most people out there right now. Like she's very genuine. Like when she has those conversations, you can just tell people trust everything that she's saying and truly believe it. And that's something that's going to serve her well for as long as she's out there. Is she has an air about her that's just very trustworthy, and I think it's going to serve her very well going forward.
Yeah, if she's already bonding this well with people on like her starting tribe, I can't imagine how she's going to be when they eventually end up swapping, which I assume is soon. Like it has to be. So I guess we'll see though. But that's everything going on with Ural. Let's get to Luvu, where not a ton going on because once again, Luvu just continues to dominate. But what we do is basically Sydney tells Danny and Erika about how at 3:00 in the morning last night, Naseer expressed interest to her in wanting to go for Danny. However, he wants to keep Deshawn around for a little bit, and Deshawn is not shocked to hear about this since he's been gunning for him since day one, but is surprised at the utter lack of strategy he seems to have overall. And I'm watching this, and I'm just like, weren't you guys like so cool with Naseer, like in the last episode with him like fending for himself and like telling you guys all these stories? Like, where did this even come from? I felt like I was watching like two different, edits. Like.
It reminds me a lot of I've been doing like a complete Survivor rewatch. Like all the that. What's happening with that tribe is what I see a lot, like Marquesas in Pearl Islands, where you're good for so long, three challenges straight. Like you're winning, you're high, you don't have to worry about the strategy, that you get antsy, and when it starts, it starts hard.
Yes.
And they were able those first couple days just to coast on the fact that, like, yes, we're winning, but they're on Survivor. They're playing real Survivor. They want to play the game. They're ready to play the game. So some of those like little antsy nerves and okay, like, let's make stuff happen. Let's make something happen, I think is really starting to get to them. And I would not be surprised if we see them losing the next challenge, whether it be intentional or not. I could see it happening, just as maybe like the mind playing something like, I want to play Survivor. Like, would it be really that bad if we lost?
Yeah, I mean, we do see a clip next week where it was like in the, like, stay tuned for scenes on the next episode where Deshawn is like willingly wanting to like throw the challenge. So like this could be the first time they go to tribal. And
very Burton-esque. Like I said, very Pearl Islands-y.
Mm-hmm. So basically, Naseer tells her to not discuss this with Danny and to leave Heather out of it as well, since she's basically, he calls her a straight up lunatic, where I was like, okay, I mean, that's an interesting read. And Naseer also doesn't feel good with Sydney because of how good she is with everyone. He feels that he's probably in trouble. He attempts to clear the air with his tribe, and he basically reminds them of the language barrier. And this was like a really bad moment for Sydney, where she's basically like, oh, fuck the language barrier. I don't care about this. We want you out of here. I don't like Sydney at all. She is just really rubbing me the wrong way. Obviously, she's a Zionist, but like, you know.
I mean, she's problematic, but like, I also just think she's really rude.
Yeah, she really is. She really is. And it's not like fun to watch. Like, it's not like a fun villain. It's just like, you're just like really out of line all the time, and I just can't stand her.
To be a good villain, you have to be someone people love to hate.
Yeah.
You can't be someone people hate. Then you're not a villain, you're just an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And she was towing that line, and now I think she's definitely started to cross that line.
Yes. Yeah, we definitely see that in this episode. I was not a fan of really anything we got with her. And unfortunately, she does end up getting this beware advantage. And she feels that she has to get this vote because she knows that she can't lose her vote and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, I just don't think she handled a lot of things here well at all. Basically, you know, she says that they need to go for him immediately because he's so like erratic and things like that. If I was Naseer, I'd be targeting Sydney. Like, that's what I would want to do right now. But I don't think he's going to, but like, I think he should because she really wants him out. And yeah, that's basically everything we get with Luvu. Like I said, I feel like we're seeing some intrigue with the Naseer and him just playing really hard, and you know, the tribe kind of catching on to everything he's doing. But because of what ends up happening, which we'll talk about the tribal in a little bit, it doesn't really go anywhere. So, yeah. So we're going to talk about the cross-tribal meetup. Allie, you can start reading the notes, and then I'll read the rest of it, since I said both of us were reading this part.
Yeah. They all introduce themselves and are told they're told each have to choose between two different advantages. One of them is a TARP tribe advantage or steal a vote. However, it comes with a risk. If all players choose TARP, that's what they will receive. If they all choose steal a vote, they'll all lose their vote. And if it's a split decision, they receive nothing and everyone else receives a steal a vote. They will receive a tree mail tomorrow with the results.
I was so confused by this. Like, they really are just like, let's overcomplicate this as much as possible. We are really going to try to like make them think hard, and it's like cool, but like, you don't need to make the audience just as confused. Like
I really like the idea of having the players do something for their advantage, you know, add an extra social strategic aspect to it. But it, like I said, a lot of it now has started to feel really gimmicky. Like the speaking the phrase, the roll the die, like you said, the tarp or the steel, like it feels very gimmicky. And I feel like there's a lot of ways they could have gone about adding that social strategic aspect to advantages much better.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that in general, like I said, they just really overcomplicate things here. But we do see Brad. He wants to go ahead and take the steal vote. Sydney and Brad try to convince Tiffany to choose Tarp, but she wants Sydney to take it in order for her and Brad to help herself. And Sydney feels that she's playing way too hard here. And again, I'm just kind of like, Sydney, for some reason, feels Tiffany's playing really hard. It's like she's trying to save herself. Like, I don't really understand. Like, you've never gone to tribal, so obviously you don't know what that's like. But, like, I feel like you should have been a lot more sympathetic to, because I think something that we've been seeing with the hikers is that they've all been, like, slowly gaining connections. Sydney doesn't even try to, like, gain a connection here. She's just like, all right, I'm going to take this advantage and I'm just going to run with it. Like, that's all she cares about. And in the grand scheme of things, like, that's not going to help her. Like, I think that's something that Evvie especially did well last week. What were you going to say, Julia?
That's, like, the most important part. Like, when you're a survivor and you get the chance to have a cross-tribal meetup, you take all of that and you use that to build those connections, especially with, like you said, all of this new era of survivor, quote unquote. But
yeah,
you can't bank on the fact that, like, oh, there's going to be a swap, like, next round. Oh, there's a new whatever. So every chance you get to build any sort of connection, you need to take that and you need to run with it. And Sydney took that chance and then, like, stomped it under her boot. Yeah. And it just shows, like, a real lack of game awareness. And I just not a fan of her. Not a fan.
No, not in any way. Yeah, so she feels she's playing too hard here. She doesn't like the way that she's going about this. In the end, we see Sydney choose the Tarp. Tiffany also chooses the Tarp. Brad chooses the steal votes, and he does receive the advantage the next morning, but doesn't exactly go the way he wanted it to, which we'll get to. But yeah, let's get to this immunity challenge, Allie. How did this play out? You can start reading that.
All right. Before the immunity challenge, Xander and Brad go ahead and test out both of their phrases, but to no availability.
It's just so awkward to watch the way they went about this.
Why did Xander say it again?
I don't know. Like,
he should have waited for someone on the other tribe to say something, and then if they did, use his. Because now he's going to have to say it a third time, and now it's going to look even weirder. Like, if he had said it the first time, didn't say it this week, and then, like, waited 2 weeks for, like, then other people find it, it looks, hell, people probably forgot he said it the first time by then.
Yeah.
But 2 times in a row, he's very suspect. And especially when he knows he's on the bottom at this point, and he's going home, like, it makes it look even worse for him. Ugh.
Oh yeah, he is 100% the next boot. Like, I don't think there's any question about it. If they're going to tribal, like, he's definitely going to be, like, the next one out for sure. Or Yasa boot, yeah. So basically, the immunity challenge is simple. One at a time, they're going to swim out, cross a rope bridge over water. When everyone gets to the end, they will then dig out a sack of sandbags and attempt those sandbags on a series of targets. The first 2 tribes are going to win immunity, but they will also win fruit. And Luvu ends up sitting out another... What?
Oh, sorry.
No, you can read the rest of it if you want.
Oh, no, you can, like, read who sits out or whatever.
Okay, so basically they then need to choose people to sit out. Luvu sits out Heather and Erika, and Ua sits out Genie.
And then Evvie, Shan, Deshawn are the first to swim out. Shan has a pretty steady lead at first, and Tiffany leads for Yasa.
Which was such a good moment. I was like, yes, Tiffany, this is the comeback that I want to see. Like, I want to see someone that's, like, not doing great, and then they finally start to do well in challenges. Like, this was such a good moment for her. I was like, I felt so happy in this moment when she was, like, doing so well.
I actually think, like, I've actually, like, really enjoyed her, because I was kind of iffy with her at first, but now
Well, that was because of her saying she doesn't wash her hair.
Yeah. But she's not that bad.
Yeah, but watching JD try to put the sandbags on the pedestals, as a basketball player, very hard to watch. Very difficult to watch.
Yeah. I feel like JD just has a huge lack of awareness with what he's good at. It's like he's good at the social aspect, he's good at the strategic aspect, the physical aspect. Yeah, not really, not happening. Like, I think he needs to recognize that, like, yeah, guys, I'm not great at the physical aspect, but I'm gonna make up for that with the social and strategic part, and he's not doing that.
He definitely, he's an athlete. He's a runner. He's a fit young man. His pride gets in the way of like,
I think that's very much what it is. Like, he's convinced himself he's like so good at it.
And it definitely does show a lack of self-awareness. And I think that lack of self-awareness does transfer to other aspects of the game for him. But it really manifests itself when it comes to stepping up to do challenge performances.
Yeah, for sure. But basically, we do get to the end here where it does become neck and neck between Deshawn and Xander, with Luvu once again winning immunity. Again, they're just unstoppable at this point. Like, I legitimately don't see a scenario unless they throw a challenge in which they don't end up making it to merge, which I feel like is kind of inevitable at this point with the way things are going. But basically, Xander lands the last sandbag and lands Yasa their first immunity of the season, which was such a good moment when Xander did that. I was like, finally, they get to win. They get to win a tribal. I've been in that situation before where it's like you're always going to tribal and then you finally do. It's just
sucks.
Yeah.
I went to 6 in a row before. It's horrible.
Yeah, that's happened to me too. But basically, Uwa is in fact heading back to tribal. So we know we're going to get the messiest tribal possible. Yeah, it delivered mostly, I think. It did deliver. This was a pretty good tribal. Ali, you want to read what happens?
Yeah, for sure. Brad is very disappointed since Luvu didn't say the phrase, which means he has now lost his vote for the time being, meaning his steal a vote is also useless. He hopes to go for JD since he keeps underperforming the challenges, and he tells Genie the worst he could do is roll his dice.
I think his mistake was targeting JD here. Like, it just wasn't going to get any traction.
Yeah.
I think JD is like very well connected to people, so I think that was probably his big mistake.
I don't think that was his big mistake, because if I'm Brad, no matter what I do, besides JD, I'm fucked.
Yeah, that's true.
If I go for Genie, that's my only ally. And
yeah.
Since they said Genie, I'm just still in the same position. Yes, but like I'm still in a horrible position. So I need Genie. If I go for Ricard, that's not going to stick because he has Shan with him 100%. Same thing with Shan. You can't go for Shan because she has everyone else. So if I'm Brad,
right,
JD is the only logical choice for me to make to try to set myself up moving forward.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. I didn't even think about like how many allies Brad had. I think especially made sense because JD's name was out there last time. But I think the way Brad goes about it is not necessarily the best way.
I think the way he went about it wasn't the best way, but I think logically it was the best move for him to try to make. But the way he tried to execute it obviously did not work out well for him.
Yeah, for sure. So we get this moment then with JD, and it's a very awkward moment. He's basically like, hey, guys, I'm going out to the bathroom. And right when he comes back, he's got this fucking paper like sticking right out of his shorts in front of everyone. And he tells them that he has an extra vote. Shan lets him know some of his trust was lost by not telling her or Ricard. And she isn't hurt, but she no longer trusts him. I really thought this was going to fuck him over. Like, I really thought this was a bad thing for JD.
I think it did fuck him over. Yes, he didn't go home, but he is in a significantly worse position. Ricard was right with what he said is, like, JD is now indebted to them, sort of.
Yeah.
So, like, he is now more in their pocket than, like, allies, if that makes sense.
Right.
You become more of like, oh, I have this over you, rather than we're equals playing this game together. Yeah. So it definitely put him in a very, very bad position. Although he didn't go home, it's a much harder hill to climb to put himself in a better position than it would have if he never did that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I think that was not, and especially this moment where now we see Ricard and Shan are now debating between keeping JD or Brad. They feel JD is like very much with them, but Brad is very sneaky and lets her know how much he wants to play and didn't feel, basically he's a better worker and he's really good at challenges. And I do think JD sort of wins back some trust here, where basically he lets her know how much he really wants to play, and he didn't feel telling people about advantages is a good idea, which I feel like is very flawed logic. He's like, oh, you shouldn't tell people you have an advantage in Survivor. And here's the thing. I would say that's true if you don't trust the person. Telling someone about an advantage is a good way to win their trust. I've done it myself. It's a good way to win someone's trust by telling them, hey, I have this thing. I can play it whenever. It's a good way to do that. And I think Shan was someone that felt really good with him. And he does something that I thought was really weird. He literally gives her the advantage and tells her that he's going to hand it to her for safekeeping, and he feels this could potentially win her trust back. What do we think about this? Was this a good move on his part? Like, what do we think is going to happen here?
I don't know if it was a good move, but I definitely think he needed to do something.
Yes.
Obviously, it was shown that it was very up in the air, at least of what we see, because obviously don't see everything. We see very, very small snippets of the large game that is happening around these players. So based on what we saw, it was very up in the air of whether he was going to go home or not. So doing something, I think, was very necessary. And in his mind, doing that was probably a really good way to get Shan's trust back. And whether that actually contributed to him staying, we don't know, but I think doing something was necessary. I just don't know if that was the best way to do that.
Yeah, I agree. It was not a great thing to do. What?
Oh, I was just saying, I don't think so either.
Yeah, so it does convince her that JD is the person to keep around, and she knows she's going to have to disappoint either of them. We do get this really good moment where she talks about when she was 5 years old, she had to choose between her mom or her dad to live with, and she did choose her mom, and her dad started to cry in front of her, and that's kind of like what it's like with JD and Brad. And like I said before, I think this was a really good moment because it showed how genuine these bonds are for Shan. This is not easy for her. She feels really good with these people, and I think even though she wants to be like this villain, she does care, and I think that is overall going to help her even when she's making cutthroat moves.
Yes, because obviously it's Survivor, you're not to backstab people, but your bonds have to be genuine, because good social bonds and good human-to-human bonds is what leads to fantastic trust and fantastic strategic relationships within the game. I preach that all the time. You need to have to like the people you're working with for it to work well. So I think that's why Shan is going to go very far in this game, knock on wood, and do very well, is because she is so genuine and she really likes the people she's working with, and it makes them really, really trust her.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so you can talk about the tribal.
Okay. At the tribal council, Shan talks about how stressful the date's been, and JD brings up how he feels he's the one who got them here. Ricard says he's starting to veer towards his own personal alliance with how the game is going. Genie feels Ricard doesn't trust her, and JD reminds everyone of his passion for playing Survivor and that it made him who he is, and no matter what happens, he's glad he got to do it.
Which was a good moment. I think definitely he showed his passion for sure, which I feel Brad didn't necessarily do when he was asked questions. So I think that's something that JD did really well. The one thing that came out of nowhere for me, since when has Ricard been targeting Genie? Like, is this something that we saw? Like,
I don't know if it's like like I said, we don't see a lot of what happens. We all know that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or just Genie's perception, but this is
know.
where I want to talk about why JD is going to be the first runner-up. And watch JD go home this week, and I look like a massive idiot. But in the first episode, JD goes on the summit walk, the giant hike, and he talks about why Survivor's important to him, and he talks about his Survivor idols, and he talks about Wu, and he talks about Ozzy. And we have this great moment here at this tribal where he's talking to his tribe, knows he's on the chopping block of why he loves Survivor. And his idols, Wu and Ozzy.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it twice in 3 episodes. And it's been something that's been focused on twice in 3 episodes. Wu and Ozzy. We have Wu, the runner-up, and Ozzy, the runner-up. I believe that everything that's put on the television in Survivor is put there for a reason. Everything is tell a story. They could have put tribals are 45 minutes an hour. They could have put any moment of JD talking about his passion for the game, but they specifically put the portion of him talking about his idols, and they did the same thing in the first episode. And by gosh, if this is not foreshadowing, I don't know what is. And like I said, he's going to go home this week, and I'm going to look like a massive idiot, and you can tell me I don't know. But that's my reading into the editing of. Yeah,
I do see JD making it very far in this game of his passion. I think that he's definitely going to have some missteps, but I think from what you're saying, I could definitely
ruin Ozzy steps.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think he's winning, but I do think he's making it far. So I agree.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't see him winning, but I can definitely see him making it to the end or at least like final 4 or 5.
But anyways, let's get to the vote here.
All right. The vote takes place, and by a vote of 4-1, Brad is the next person to be voted out.
Yeah.
And he feels he put too much trust in one person, and he got too wrapped up in the fun of the game.
Which I think is true. I think he definitely put too much trust in Shan, but I think you can basically say that with everyone, and that says a lot about Shan's position. Like, everyone's putting a lot of trust into her. She's been the swing vote a lot of the time. So I think that that's really going to help her out. Brad going here, not shocking, really not shocking at all, especially after what he did last week when he was literally listening in on conversations and like watching people idol hunt. Like, you could tell he probably was going to go very soon. I'm not shocked about this.
Even based on the preseason, he had major like early boot energy.
Oh yeah, I thought he was going to be the first boot. I did.
I didn't think he would be first boot, but I had a feeling he would at least be pre-merge. But
I thought it would be him or Xander.
Yeah,
it did. So, yeah, Brad is the 4th person voted out of Survivor 41. And, that's basically it in terms of this episode. Like I said, I think next week we're going to see – this is what I'm predicting. Luvu is going to throw that challenge. We're going to see Luvu go to Tribal, and they're probably going to lose someone. I hope it's Sydney, but –
hopefully Sydney.
Yes. Was he Seb? Was he – I don't know about that.
I agree. Brad robbed. Say what you want. While he was on our screen, Brad had some great television moments.
Oh yeah, he was very entertaining.
Like that last episode of him running back and forth, like it was so good. You can't. Those are the reasons we watch Survivor.
Oh yeah,
like that, and it was fantastic. And I wish I saw him on my screen for longer because I think he gave us a lot of interesting, fun moments.
I agree. He was very entertaining to watch.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's mainly because we just think she's very unlikable and not fun to watch. She's also a Zionist, so like that's a big part of it too. So yeah, but that's.
Speaking of, I think I might have talked about this before. I'm doing a Survivor pool with some coworkers. And we each got to pick like a sheet of paper, which has 2 people on it. And I got the 2 I really wanted, which were Shan and Liana. So we all have to we had to give gift cards to one of the person running it, who's one of the managers. So I did that. And then whoever wins gets to keep all the gift cards. So fingers crossed I can win.
Yes. hoping you definitely. I mean, Shan's doing really well. Liana's doing really well. So I think you definitely
very good people.
Honestly, they both have like a good shot to win.
Yes, we do love Julia Rowe. Which, speaking of Julia, we are going to give you a chance to do your outro, plug whatever you want to plug. So go right ahead.
Hello everyone. So and my Twitter handle. Oh, they really got me. Thank you.
We always have it ready.
Follow me on Twitter. I like to live tweet Survivor. I also like to subtweet people who deserve it. After Dry State, maybe took a little bit of a break, but who knows? Maybe catch me in a couple games soon. I'm always around in the community. I got some stuff in the works for y'all. Everyone, make sure you apply to Spotlight.
Yes, thank you.
To Spotlight. Great production team. Keep those apps coming. Support. And yeah, just be ready for more Julia. I'm always around. I'm always here.
Yes, and good way to segue into it. Yes, everyone definitely apply for Spotlight. You have 2 weeks left? Yeah, 2 weeks left to apply. So yeah, definitely get on that. We've had some really great apps so far, and we definitely would love to see more of y'all in there. So definitely keep applying if you can. We have a lot of cool things in store for this org. Also,
we have such a good season plan, so please apply.
Also, look forward to coverage of Ascendance Live. That will be coming probably tomorrow. We'll see.
Speaking of Ascendance Live, if anyone wants a fantastic mini experience, Season 1 Ascendance Live player Sarah is hosting a sort of mini coming up in a couple weeks. It's a $10 buy-in. Cool. It's a whole new format. You've never played it before. It's a ton of fun. You're going to enjoy every second of it. Meet some new people. Highly recommend anything she does. So please check.
Didn't know that. Definitely, check out. This is why we have Julia on here. She knows everything.
$10 buy-in to buy new cameras for Season 2. It's gonna be great. Make sure
Other than that, I think we've plugged basically everything we need to.
Also, of course, like apply and supports 1984 Live.
Yes, that's gonna be great. Look forward to that. Other than that, that's it for our review of this week's episode of Survivor. If you're in Canada, happy Thanksgiving to you. I hope you guys had a really good Thanksgiving. It's kind of weird for me to think that it's Thanksgiving in October when usually that's in November for us. But happy Thanksgiving. It's something to be happy about for sure, and certainly a better holiday than what we traditionally celebrate on this day. But anyway, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys in our next video, and we will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.